The stars were quiet that night. Far beyond the trade routes and the safe paths of light, the Zelthor scout ship Vareth drifted through the empty dark. Space was endless there, cold, wide, and full of things that should have stayed forgotten. The crew was small, 6 in total, explorers sent to map the uncharted edges of the Orion Fringe. They had done this many times before, but this night was different. The radar officer, a pale-skinned alien named Coral, stared at her screen with disbelief. A strange signal blinked across the black. It came from nowhere, then vanished, then came again. Steady, cold, and heavy. "Captain," she said quietly, "I have something." The captain, Vern Katal, turned in his seat. His dark eyes narrowed as he saw the signal. "Show me." Coral increased the magnification. The scanner drew an image from the static, a massive structure floating without movement. No heat, no radiation, no signs of life. Yet it was not dead. The hull reflected no light, no data. It was like looking into a shadow that swallowed the stars. Vern frowned. Could it be a derelict? Maybe, Coral said, her voice uneasy. But the shape, it's too perfect, too clean. The readings are ancient, older than the Empire itself. The crew gathered around the central display. On the screen, the object looked like a long blade in space, silent and unmoving. The more they stared, the less they understood. The pilot whispered, "It feels like it's watching us." Vern laughed once, but it sounded forced. "It's just metal. Run a full scan, let's see what we're dealing with." The scanner beam reached out into the void, a thin line of blue light touching the surface of the unknown ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the bridge lights flickered. The data board exploded with signals, hundreds, thousands, all coming at once. "What is this?" Coral shouted. "It's sending information back. No, it's scanning us." Vern gripped the armrest. "Cut the signal." "I can't." The lights dimmed. One by one, the screens filled with human symbols, letters, codes, languages none of them had ever seen. Then a voice spoke, deep and calm, across every frequency. "Identification confirmed. Unauthorized access detected." The entire ship trembled. Coral's hands froze above the controls. "Captain, it's alive." Vern stood. "That's impossible. There are no life forms on board." "Then what is speaking?" Before he could answer, the temperature dropped. Frost formed on the inner panels of the bridge. Outside the window, the massive ship began to move, slowly, deliberately. Its hull lit with faint red lines, like veins of fire waking from a long sleep. Coral whispered, "It's turning toward us." The Vareth's engines roared, but they did not move. Gravity twisted around them. The scanners went blind. All power readings reached impossible numbers. Vern shouted, "Get us out of here!" The pilot tried to engage the drives. "It's no use. It's locking us in a gravity well." The alien. Crew watched in silence as the unknown ship completed its slow rotation. On its side, ancient letters burned with a dim light. HSS Revenant. Coral read the strange words aloud. "Human ship?" The silence grew heavier. No one spoke. Everyone in the galaxy knew that name, humanity. The old stories said they were gone, wiped out in the Great Fire centuries ago. No one had seen a human in over 600 years. The Empire had declared them extinct, but now, something built by them was right in front of their eyes. The ship pulsed once, and every star around them dimmed. Static filled their comms. The AI of Vareth stuttered, then went silent. All systems failed except life support. Coral's voice trembled. "Captain, this thing is rewriting our data core." Vern looked out the main viewport. The Revenant floated there, silent and perfect, its hull shining faintly under the dim light of a distant sun. There were no weapons visible, no signs of heat or engines, yet the pressure in the air felt like standing before a storm. "What do we do?" the engineer asked softly. Vern clenched his jaw. "We finish what we started. Record everything. If this is human, the Council will want to know." He ordered another scan. The moment it started, their systems screamed. A burst of energy surged through the scanners, melting the instruments. Sparks flew across the bridge. The engineer fell back, shouting. On the main screen, a new image appeared. It was a human face, cold, silent, and unmoving. The figure looked straight at them, eyes gray, expression empty. Then it spoke again. You should not have looked. Every light in the ship went out. For a full minute, there was nothing but darkness and breathing. Then, one by one, the screens came back online, but they were not showing their own ship. The Vareth was now being observed from outside, as if something else were watching them through invisible eyes. Coral whispered, "It's recording us." Outside, the Revenant's hull shifted slightly. Something inside it woke. A low hum filled the void, deep, ancient, and endless. It was not a machine sound. It was like the heartbeat of something alive. Vern felt the vibration through the floor. His instinct screamed to run, but he forced himself to stay calm. "We are explorers," he said to himself. "We come in peace." The words sounded weak in the cold dark. Another transmission appeared, static at first, then words forming slowly. "If you are not enemies, then leave, while you can." The Vareth's engines reignited. Coral shouted that the system had reset itself. The ship began to drift backward, free from the invisible force. Vern stared at the Revenant, unsure whether to flee or bow in respect. He gave the order to retreat. As they turned away, the human warship powered down again, its lights fading into black. It returned to stillness, as if nothing had ever happened. But deep inside the captain's mind, one thought burned. That ship was not dead. It was waiting. Silence followed them for hours after they left the shadow of the human ship. The Zelthor scout Vareth drifted through the darkness, its engines humming low, like a creature afraid to make a sound. No one spoke. The crew's eyes stayed on the rear sensors, waiting for that shape to appear again. But space behind them stayed empty. Captain Vern sat in the command chair, hands tight on the armrest. His thoughts would not stop racing. He had seen many strange things during his time in the fleet. Rogue asteroids, dying stars, even ghost signals, but never anything like this. That human warship had moved the stars themselves. It had spoken, and it had let them go. Why? Coral finally broke the silence. "Captain, should we report it?" Vern's throat was dry. "Not yet. We need proof first. Our recordings were fried when the system melted. The council will call it a lie." She stared at her cracked screen. "That thing melted our scanners with a single pulse. What kind of ship can do that?" "The kind we should never have found," he muttered. Hours passed. The crew began to relax a little. The hum of the engines returned to normal. But then, just before they reached safe range to jump into hyperspace, the lights flickered again. Coral looked up, alarmed. "Power fluctuation?" The engineer checked his console. "No, the core is stable. Wait, something's leaching energy from us." Vern turned sharply. "From where?" "Everywhere," the engineer shouted. "It's draining us through the comlink." Coral's screen filled with static. A familiar voice broke through the noise, calm and deep, human. "Leaving so soon?" The bridge went silent. The Revenant appeared behind them, though the scanners showed no trace of its movement. 1 second it was not there. The next, it filled the screen like a mountain of black metal. The ship hadn't chased them. It had simply appeared. The alien crew froze. Vern forced himself to stand. "Broadcast. Identify us as non-hostile." Coral's trembling fingers hit the comm. "Unknown human vessel. This is exploration ship Vareth. We mean no harm." Static answered. Then faintly, a human face flickered across the main display again. Gray eyes. Calm expression. "Unauthorized data capture detected. Attempting to delete traces." Their computers screamed. Every file, every log, every map began to vanish one by one. The Revenant was erasing their memory. Coral yelled, "It's rewriting our main core again." "Cut the connection," Vern ordered. "I can't. It's inside our system now." The bridge filled with red warning lights. The ship started to spin as the navigation software crashed. Sparks burst from the ceiling, then everything stopped. The lights turned white. The temperature rose back to normal. On the main display, lines of human text scrolled slowly. Coral translated with the autolex. Observation complete. Threat assessment, minimal. Vern frowned. Minimal? To them we are nothing. A low vibration rolled through the ship again. The Revenant began to glow, its hull lines bright red, forming strange patterns like armor plates sliding into place. A hum, deeper than sound, spread through the void. The alien engineer whispered, "Captain, I think it's charging something. Maybe a weapon." Vern felt his pulse climb. "Prepare evasive maneuvers. If it fires, we won't survive, but we'll try." Coral hesitated. "Should we call for help?" "Yes," he said quietly. "Send everything you can to command before it blocks us." Coral pressed the emergency beacon. "Signal sent, I think." Out the viewport, the human warship's front hull began to split. Inside was a white light, small at first, then growing like the heart of a star waking up. Vern whispered, "By the suns. What kind of engine is that?" No one answered. The light pulsed once, and the Verith's gravity sensors went mad. The crew felt weightless. All the stars outside stretched, warped, and then time itself seemed to stop. For a single second, no one breathed. Everything froze. Even thought felt heavy, then it ended. The stars snapped back into place. The Revenant was gone. The crew stared into the void. Coral checked the instruments. It just vanished. No warp signature. No trail, nothing. Vern leaned back slowly. "No ship that size can disappear without a trace," the engineer spoke in a whisper. "Unless it can control time." Vern looked at him sharply. "That's impossible." "Captain, so is everything we've seen tonight," Coral replied. The captain rubbed his temples. His heart still pounded. He knew what the Empire would do once they heard of this. Send fleets, demand control, test human technology. That would be suicide. He made a decision. "Erase our logs. All of them." "We saw nothing. We found nothing." The crew stared at him. Coral said softly, "Sir, that's against protocol." Vern looked out the window at the dark sea of stars. "Protocol won't save us. If the Empire tries to touch that ship, we all die." Reluctantly, Coral nodded. "Understood." The engineer began purging the ship's logs. Data screens filled with blank lines. One by one, the records vanished until the system froze again. A single new file appeared on the main console. It had one message. "You cannot hide what you have seen." Everyone went still. The message blinked once, then disappeared forever. No one spoke for a long time. Only the quiet hum of the ship remained. Finally, Coral whispered, "Captain, what do you think it wants?" Vern stared into the endless dark. "Maybe it doesn't want anything," he said. "Maybe it's just waiting for a reason to wake up again." Outside, far behind them, a faint red light appeared in the void for a moment, then vanished like a heartbeat fading into sleep. The human warship was gone, but somewhere, it was listening. And every alien who saw it that night would remember the same thing. The feeling that the stars themselves had been watching them back. Days passed, yet no one on the Verith could rest. The ship floated through safe space now, but every shadow looked alive. Each creak in the hull made them think of the human warship, the Revenant. Sleep offered no peace. Dreams were filled with gray eyes and a cold voice saying, "You should not have looked." Captain Vern sat alone in the command room. All logs were gone. Yet one fragment had survived, the last echo of human data. A single encrypted file the Revenant had left behind. He stared at it for hours. Should he open it? Coral entered quietly. "You have been here all night, Captain." He nodded. "This message, it's the only proof left. Or the only trap," she said softly. Vern's jaw tightened. "If the humans wanted us dead, we already would be. I need to know what they were." He pressed the command key. The file opened. A pulse of light filled the room. Then a voice. Human, calm, and heavy with time. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the human ship Revenant." The crew rushed in as the hologram formed before them. An old man in a worn uniform, stars glinting in his eyes. His image flickered, but his voice was strong. "If you have found this ship, it means our era is long past. Know this, humanity did not fall by weakness. We chose silence. The bridge fell still. Ward continued. Once we stood among countless species. We built, we traded, we bled beside them, but they feared us. Not for what we were, but for what we could become. They united against us, burned our worlds, erased our name from the stars. They believed we died. Coral whispered, but you didn't. The hologram seemed to glance at her, though it was centuries old. No. We hid, we learned, we waited. The Revenant was made for one purpose, to remember, to sleep until the stars were safe from hatred, to guard the ashes of Earth. Earth. The word felt ancient, holy. None of them had ever heard it spoken aloud before. Ward's tone darkened. If you come in peace, leave in peace. If you come with greed, this ship will remind you why the galaxy once trembled at the sound of human engines. The image flickered, and behind him flashes of war appeared, fleets burning, planets torn apart, entire moons shattered by beams of white light. Human ships moved like predators, silent and merciless. Each blast looked like the fury of a dying god. The crew watched, speechless. This was not legend. It was history. Then Ward's voice softened. We were not monsters. We were simply tired of chains. The image faded, replaced by a final line of text. We remember. Do you? Silence filled the room. No one breathed. Coral whispered. They destroyed half the galaxy, just to survive. Vern spoke quietly. And now they are gone. Or pretending to be. The engineer frowned. Captain, what if they're not gone? What if they're watching us right now? Everyone turned toward the main window. Space stretched endless before them, cold and empty. But it no longer felt empty. Coral hugged herself. If one ship survived, there could be more. Vern nodded slowly. There are always more. He replayed the last seconds of the hologram. Something strange appeared in the background. A view from orbit showing a world covered in cloud and ocean. At the bottom corner, coordinates flashed faintly. Are those... Coral leaned closer. Coordinates? The navigator confirmed. Yes, Captain. It's pointing to a dead sector near the Veil Nebula. No planets registered there. Vern felt a chill crawl down his neck. Set a course. We're going! Coral blinked. You want to follow a ghost message? If humans hid something there, we need to see it. The crew hesitated but obeyed. The Vareth turned slowly toward the dark. Engines flared and they jumped into hyperspace. Hours later, they emerged from the jump. A thick cloud of dust surrounded them, swallowing light. No stars, no signals. Only static. Visibility near zero, said Coral. Push through, ordered Vern. The ship's floodlights cut through the fog. Something enormous shimmered ahead. It was a planet, no, not quite. A world of broken metal, orbiting fragments, and shattered rings. Millions of wrecks drifted together like a graveyard built by time itself. Coral's voice trembled. Captain? Are those ships? Vern nodded slowly. Human ships, they floated closer. Everywhere they looked were destroyed vessels, rusted hulls, shattered weapons, blackened flags marked with faded Earth symbols. It was a tomb of steel. The scanner lit up suddenly. A single heartbeat signal echoed from deep within the wreck field. Thump, thump, Coral gasped. Something's still alive down there. The Vareth inched forward. Through the mist they saw it, a small beacon pulsing red, half buried under debris. The engineer magnified the feed. It's a message pod, they brought it aboard. The beacon opened with a hiss. Inside was a recording device still functioning after centuries. The same voice spoke again. Captain Elias Ward. To whoever finds this, remember us not for our weapons but for our will. We left the galaxy because we could not trust it. But we still believe there will come a day when someone worthy will stand before the Revenant and see Earth again. The message ended. Vern felt his chest tighten. Earth still exists? No one answered. But deep in their hearts they all knew. Somewhere out there beyond the dust, humanity was not finished. And now, the Revenant was awake again. The Vareth drifted on the edge of the graveyard world. The silence around the wrecks felt thicker than space itself. Captain Vern and his crew had seen enough to know one thing. Humanity had not vanished. It had simply gone quiet, and quiet things could be the most dangerous. Coral stared at the flickering beacon in the command room. It's still sending, she said. Maybe someone, or something, is listening. Vern looked at the dark view outside. Then we are already being watched. Moments later, the comm system burst to life. A harsh voice echoed through static. Unregistered vessel Vareth, identify yourself. This is Admiral Drax of the Zelthor Empire fleet. Coral's scales paled. The Empire found us. Of course they did, Vern muttered. That distress pulse we sent before the erasure, it reached them. Another transmission cut through. Captain Vern, stand by. We have detected unknown artifacts. We are assuming control of this operation. Outside, lights filled the darkness, hundreds of ships forming a wall of metal and fire. The fleet spread out across the debris field like a swarm of hungry insects. Vern clenched his fists. They have no idea what they're walking into. Coral whispered, should we warn them? He shook his head. They would not listen. They never do. The flagship Empyrean launched probe drones into the wreck field. Each drone sent bright flashes into the fog, scanning for salvage. The fleet's voices crackled over the radio, eager, greedy. Massive alloys here. Unknown energy cores. Find that signal source. And then, silence. One by one, the drones stopped transmitting. The readings vanished, leaving only static. Admiral Drax frowned from his command seat. What happened to the probes? A lieutenant replied, They were there a moment ago, sir. Now there's nothing. No explosion, no signal. Continue forward, Drax ordered. It's just interference. But interference did not make the stars disappear. The mist thickened around the fleet. Shadows moved between the wrecks, massive, silent shapes gliding through the dust. On the Vareth, Coral whispered. Captain, look at the sensors. A new reading appeared. One object enormous, hidden in the fog until now. Heart rate rising, she zoomed in, the Revenant. It floated among the broken ships like a dark god returning to its throne. Its lights were awake again, lines of red glowing across its surface. Vern's voice trembled. It followed us here. The Revenant turned slowly, facing the Empire's fleet. No movement, no heat, only silence. Admiral Drax smirked. Ancient human junk, he said. Target it. Dozens of cannons charged across the fleet. Energy built up, humming like thunder in the distance. Coral whispered, no. Don't. Then the fleet fired. White beams cut across space and struck the Revenant. The light was blinding. The shock waves rattled the Vareth's hull. When the glare faded, the human warship was still there. Untouched. Admiral Drax blinked. Impossible. Fire again. A second volley erupted. Hundreds of shots tore through the dark. When the light cleared, the result was the same, no damage. Only now the Revenant was moving. Slowly, its bow tilted toward the fleet. The red lines along its hull flared brighter, burning like veins of magma. Inside the Vareth, the crew could feel the vibration in their bones. The Revenant was not firing weapons. It was waking up. Then the stars vanished. For an instant, everything turned black, sound, light, motion, all gone. Then a pulse exploded outward, invisible but felt everywhere. The fleet froze mid-space. Engines stopped. Weapons stopped. Every ship hung still, caught inside a sphere of silent gravity. Vern whispered, Time. It stopped time. The Revenant's core glowed white. Energy rippled across its armor like waves of light. And then, just as suddenly, time started again. But the fleet was gone. Only drifting fragments remained. Silent metal dust glowing faintly where thousands of ships had once stood. The entire Zelthor armada erased in a single breath. Coral covered her mouth. They didn't even scream. Vern could not look away. That was not war, he said softly. That was judgment. For a long moment, there was nothing but quiet. Then a faint signal came through their comm. A voice, calm, human, the same as before. Interference removed. Memory protected. The Revenant slowly turned its massive hull away from them, moving deeper into the wreck field. Each step of its movement made the stars flicker. Coral whispered, It's leaving. Vern nodded. It has no reason to stay. They watched until the last red light disappeared into the dark. The graveyard fell silent again, but the silence was different now. It was not peace, it was warning. The engineer spoke softly. Captain, what do we tell the council? Vern looked down at his trembling hands. The truth would destroy them. We tell them nothing. But the Empire will ask what happened to their fleet. Then tell them the truth they won't believe. He looked out at the dust drifting where thousands of ships once were. Tell them the humans are still out there. He paused. And that they remember. Coral swallowed hard. Captain, what if they come back? Vern closed his eyes. They never left. Outside, in the endless black, a faint red glow blinked once and faded, like a heartbeat vanishing back into the dark. When the light of destruction faded, silence took over space. Nothing remained of the Zelthor fleet, only ash, shattered metal, and cold echoes drifting in the void. The Verith was the only ship left. It floated between the remains, small and fragile, like a leaf among ruins. Coral sat on the bridge, her hands shaking over the console. Every display was blank. Every system was quiet. Only one small screen still blinked, a soft red signal pulsing in the corner. Captain Vern leaned closer. "What is that?" Coral whispered. "A transmission. It's coming from the Revenant." The crew froze. No one spoke as Vern gave the order. "Play it." The sound began as static, deep and broken. Then came a voice, human, steady and cold. "To those who live among the stars, we see you." The bridge lights dimmed. The red pulse on the screen matched the rhythm of a heartbeat. "We remember what was done. We remember the fires on our homeworld, the silence that followed, and the hands that built this ship from the bones of the dead." Coral swallowed hard. "Captain, is this live?" Vern did not answer. He was staring at the stars beyond the viewport, but they seemed smaller now, dimmer. The voice continued. "You fear us because you never understood us. You called us monsters, but it was your fear that made us so. Now you call yourselves conquerors, but you stand on the graves we dug for peace." The room grew colder. The crew could see their breath. Coral whispered, "It feels like it's here with us." The voice softened. "Do not seek Earth, do not search for the forgotten worlds. Some doors once opened can never be closed again." The signal pulsed faster. The sound grew distant, as if the speaker was walking away through a storm of memories. "To those who honor peace, remember this. Humanity never died." We simply watched. The screen went black. For a long moment, no one spoke. The hum of the engines was the only sound left in the ship. Coral broke the silence. "Captain!" "What does that mean?" We simply watched. Vern's eyes stayed on the window. "It means they're still out there somewhere, waiting." The engineer whispered, "Should we tell anyone?" "The Council? The Empire?" Vern shook his head slowly. "No, not the Empire. Not anyone. They will not believe us, and if they do, they will only bring war again." He looked at Coral. "We'll take this secret to the grave." Coral nodded, but her eyes were full of fear. "And if they find us first?" Vern gave a faint, bitter smile. "Then we'll know it was because we looked when we should have turned away." The Varith turned from the wreck field, its engines glowing weakly. The ship drifted toward the outer stars, leaving behind the graveyard of human metal. The crew stayed silent, each trapped in their thoughts. But as they crossed into open space again, the sensors flickered one last time. A faint signal followed them. So faint it could have been a dream. It was a pattern of sound repeating again and again. 4 slow beats, 1 pause. A code. Coral decoded it, her voice shaking. "Captain, it says—" "We are awake." Vern closed his eyes. "So it begins." Centuries later, historians would search the Imperial archives for the truth. They would find fragments, ruined reports, missing fleets, broken logs. They would speak of a ship called Revenant, of a crew who vanished after entering the Veil Nebula, and of a voice that once echoed across the stars. "Warning, do not scan what you cannot understand." And whenever someone dared to go near that sector again, their sensors would fail. Their engines would die. And sometimes, through the static, they would hear it again. That calm human voice whispering, "We remember." Back aboard the Verith, Captain Vern sat alone. The crew slept uneasily, haunted by what they had seen. Vern recorded one final log, though he knew no one would ever read it. "This is Captain Vern of the Zelthor exploration ship Verith. We found the human warship Revenant. We watched it destroy an empire in silence. I do not know if it was justice, revenge, or warning. But I know this. There is no greater power than what sleeps behind that name. Humanity." He stopped the recording and looked out at the stars. They shimmered faintly, innocent, as if unaware of the ancient ghosts hiding among them. Vern whispered to the empty bridge, "Rest well, humans. Or don't." The red light on the console blinked once more before fading completely. The Verith disappeared into the black, its trail swallowed by the endless dark. And somewhere deep inside the ruins of forgotten wars, the Revenant drifted again, silent, waiting, listening. Its lights dimmed, its systems still. But deep in its heart, one spark glowed like a pulse. A voice faint as memory whispered into the void. Humanity sleeps, but not forever.